not gonna get too in depth. I know it's a great method for drawing the head at multiple angles. It's really widely used. I can see why. It's fantastic for blocking in basic proportions and basic features. Obviously, it's just a mannequin-esque type of thing, similar to this thing. It is just a guide. It's not gonna provide us with all the details, the muscles, the actual finished product, but it's a great way to rough things in, get some perspectives, and develop our drawing skills. So, first order of business, I'm gonna try and make this fairly quick. We are going to draw a circle. And as you can see, my circles take a little bit of time to develop, but I basically wanna get a fairly nice circle, okay? And, you know, I'm gonna take a little bit of time, polish this up. You know, these are all construction lines, so I'm drawing very lightly. I wanna be able to erase them without seeing, you know, the original markings. Once I have my circle, what I wanna do is I wanna split this in half, like this, okay? And then I wanna split it in half this way, and I might do that, okay? So that's the basic start, and obviously you guys can stop, pause, rewind, rewatch, whatever you need to do. I'm gonna try and just discuss some of the keys of the Loomis method. I'm continuing to learn about it. I've been doing a lot of practice and watching others who are better than me at it. But one of the things that you wanna do once you get to this point is you wanna pretend that this is kind of like a ball of clay, and you wanna lop off a chunk. And the amount that you wanna lop off is basically, if you were to say this is, I'm eyeballing in here like thirds. So basically what I'm saying is we have 1/3 that we lopped off and 2/3 that we keep. And so if I bring this line straight down, I should have somewhere in the neighborhood of, it's not exact, but something along these lines. So in other words, we have 2/3, 2/3, 1/3, and 1/3. That's the appropriate measurements. And what we're gonna do from here is this is the proportions of the typical generic human head. We're gonna be very generic about it. And I wanna measure this right here. This is how I like to do it. I use my pencil, I get it precise, and I'm very close. Right about here is where the chin goes. So now I have another 1/3, if you include this shape, okay? So now, what I'm gonna do here is these lines are actually more or less gone. These are guidelines, construction lines. If you look at the head, it's gonna go something more along this. I'm gonna pencil in a jaw. Okay, so now my head is more this proportion. The nose sits right in here, and I'm just gonna rough in a triangle, okay? The ears sit right in here, like this, in between the lower part of the nose, and this is the top of the eyebrow line, okay? It's not our eye line, but it's the eyebrow line. And then I'm gonna pencil in another ear on this side, and that is basically all I'm asking you guys to do today. Maybe we'll get a mouth in here. A mouth is halfway in between the bottom of the nose and the chin. So somewhere right about there is where the mouth goes. Oh yes, of course, since we lopped this off, if this were to fall on the ground, we basically have a little chunk of clay left over that was the side of the head. And it would look something like this, right? And on this, let's say that goes up in there. So in other words, I'll bring in this Loomis head that I did earlier today. This is the chunk that we lopped off. So you can't see that because we're looking at a straight profile, but right here, there's the chunk. And that chunk has an axis in it. And this vertical axis right here determines the angle of the head. If I tilted this back like this, the head obviously would raise up like that. Obviously, if I tilted it down like that, it would be nodding down, okay? But this right here helps us track right through the halfway point right here, the cheek plane. And the cheek plane helps us form the cheekbones and the chin and the lower jaw. And so from this, if this is the ellipse, it's gonna come kind of like this, and it's gonna go right to here, like that. This is a guideline. Remember, this is only a guideline. You can't even take it, I like to take it back from here and just go halfway. And then that really helps me form the chin, okay? Kind of like that, whoops. Kind of like that. I'm going back to my original center line and sphere. It just helps me track that line a little bit better, okay? And what this does is it divides the lower jaw. Actually, the cheek is more like this, and so this is the part of the cheek that's providing that cast shadow. The last thing we can work on a few little things here. If you measured halfway up to here, in between this, where the eyes would go, if you were to gently cut this in half, like so, see how I cut this in half? That's the halfway point. Right about here is the bottom of the eye. If this was a skull, right about there is the bottom of where the eye sockets would be. And so we have the brow. I'm not expecting you all to do this. I'm showing you some proportions. And then right in here is obviously the eyeball, and then, you know, the eyelids are somewhere in this vicinity. And so I'm not expecting you to do all this, but this really does show you where to place the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, and even the neck is generally right around the outside of the corner of the eyes. Obviously, everybody's a little different, but more or less, I like to drop a little cast shadow underneath the chin, which helps push back that neck and make that chin kind of sit on that neck. We can get into the details. I'm not worried about that today. I just want y'all to try and complete one of these and turn that in. Today is 11-30-23. Put the date down, put your name on it, turn it in. All right, there is all I'm expecting you guys to do today. Thank you for watching. 10 minutes, enjoy, good luck, practice, do a bunch of these. If you want to try and do the profile, I'll put that up as a second video. I don't want to make this too long, or not the profile exactly, but the 3/4 view. You can also obviously do the head at any angle, and there's lots of YouTube videos up there if you want to practice. It's a great method for learning the basic proportions of the human head, and then to be able to draw that in multiple perspectives, different angles, and we'll pick up on some of those more specific details later on in the term. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Ciao for now.